Welcome everybody. Welcome to our bariatric cooking class. Today we're doing things a little bit differently given the circumstances, but nevertheless we're going to do some cooking tonight, so I hope that you enjoy this recipe that I've got for you today. So today we're going to be making a baked tilapia that has some lemon juice, olive oil, oregano, paprika, some capers for a little bit of snap and saltiness, and we're also going to be making some sugar snap peas. So follow along. The first thing that we're going to do is I've got my fish laid out on a baking sheet. These are fresh tilapia fillets that I tapped with a paper towel to take most of the moisture out of them and just laid them out flat on the sheet pan. Now we're going to prepare the marinade for the fish. I've got 3 tablespoons of olive oil in this bowl, and I'm going to squeeze 3 tablespoons of lemon juice. So what I'm doing is I'm rolling the lemon against the cutting board to release the juices. This is going to make it a lot easier for me to squeeze the lemon juice out of it, okay? So I've got 2 rolled up here. 1 more, and then with my chef knife, I'm gonna cut it. Okay, and I've got a little bowl here. I'm just gonna squeeze the lemon juice. This is probably gonna make more than 3 tablespoons, but I like to store any leftover lemon juice so it's ready to go for future recipes. So I'm going to squeeze some lemon juice into this bowl. You can also strain it using your hands, your fingers. That way you don't have to dirty a strainer, but today we're using a strainer to keep our hands a little bit cleaner. Okay. There is definitely 3 tablespoons in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my measuring spoon and I'm gonna scoop out 1, 2, and 3 tablespoons. Set this aside now. I've got my bowl here and I have 1.5 teaspoons of garlic powder. Okay, you can use fresh garlic, but the cool thing is that this recipe comes out really, really tasty with the garlic powder, and most people have that on hand. I'm using a whisk, but you could just stir it around with a fork or whatever you have available. It doesn't have to be a whisk. The good thing about the whisk, though, is that it will emulsify the olive oil and the lemon juice. So what that means is it's going to combine the droplets of olive oil and the droplets of the lemon juice are going to combine a lot better with the agitation of the whisk. Okay. The other ingredients are the dried oregano, the paprika, and the capers. I've also have salt here, but I'm gonna add that directly to the fillets because that way I can control a little bit better the saltiness of the fish. So I'm gonna bring my fish over and I am just going to pour this evenly on top of each tilapia fillet. And I'm going to grab a brush so that I can more easily spread this wonderful flavor all around the tilapia. I want to make sure that I've got everything well coated. And you don't have to worry about flipping the fish and getting that lemon and olive oil underneath, because really the flavors are going to go just right through the fish. So no need to do that. Now you can salt, season with kosher salt to taste. So you add what the amount of salt that sounds better to you. Of course, always trying to do as little as possible so that you can better control how much sodium you consume. All right. This recipe, you'll see, it's super duper easy. So most of the ingredients, at least the seasonings people usually have at home. Maybe the capers is something you have to go get, that maybe not everyone has those in their fridge. Here I've got half a teaspoon of dried oregano, and I'm gonna sprinkle that on top. Evenly distribute that all along the tilapia fillets. You can also do, this is ground up dried oregano, but you can also do the oregano leaves. That's perfectly fine. But if you do the leaves, then you want to do a little bit more than half a teaspoon. You want to do maybe like almost a teaspoon, or just a whole teaspoon. That should be fine. All right, so I want to use all of it. And now the paprika. The paprika, about 1/8 of a teaspoon is what I add to this recipe. But this is also to taste, so if you like a little bit more spiciness, you can go ahead and add more. But I think 1/8 of a teaspoon is a good amount. You get to taste the paprika, but it's not overpowering. And then last but not least, your capers. I've got 2 tablespoons of capers in this bowl. So I'm just gonna sprinkle them on top. I like that the capers add texture, not just flavor, but texture to this fish. Since tilapia is very, very soft when it's cooked, it's good to have something to give it a little bit of a bite. All right, and that's all you have to do. Now we're gonna pop it in the oven, which has been preheated to 425 degrees. Once you've placed the fish inside the oven, you just let it cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. You just want to make sure that the fish, you can easily flake it with a fork. That's how you'll know if it's done. Now, the next step is our side. Today, we're going to make sugar snap peas, and we're going to make those in our skillet. So follow me. So you have to grab a medium-sized skillet and turn the heat on to medium-high heat. Now I've got my sugar snap peas, which I didn't have to trim these because these were frozen. I prefer fresh, but when I went to the market, I wasn't able to find fresh sugar snap peas, but frozen work well as well. The good thing about the frozen ones is that you don't have to chop the ends because they're already chopped for you. So we're gonna take the olive oil, and I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit in the bottom. And I'm going to swirl it around to make sure that the entire pan is covered. What I want to do is, what's important to do is wait till the skillet heats up really, really nicely. You're going to start seeing some smoke coming out of the olive oil. As soon as you see that, that means that pan is really hot, and these will get nice and crispy in the outside. That's what I'm looking for. Now you can see the smoke coming out of the pan. It just started, so I'm gonna drop it in. You can hear the sizzle, that means it's hot, which is what we want it. And I'm going to sprinkle it with some salt, that's to taste, and some black pepper, also to taste, a little bit more. And then I'm gonna take the pan and I'm going to swing it almost like creating a letter C shape. You go down and up. If you were gonna, it's like if you were writing the letter C with the tip of your pan, down and up. And that way, the vegetables will jump. And I'm not sure if you're able to see that, but you start seeing some browning on the sugar snap peas. That gives it texture and color. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm gonna leave them there for a couple of seconds, and then I'm gonna do another toss. You see, that's the browning that I'm looking for. This is almost done. You wanna cook it for about 5 minutes or so. It just depends on what texture you like of the sugar snap peas. I like them crunchy, so I'll cook them for about just 5 minutes, but if you like them a little bit softer, maybe closer to 7 minutes. Okay, after 10 to 15 minutes, your fish should be ready. I'm gonna pull it out of the oven. And there you go.